What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Growing Threat on Missed Opportunities. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Missed Opportunities is the map where we have to clear out terrazine geysers for Stetmann's bots to harvest. Then we have to protect said bots from enemies. If we lose more than one bot on brutal difficulty, we lose the game. Enemies sometimes transform when they deal damage, and they spawn Broodlings upon death. Hybrids detonate nukes after death.
Okay, we have Twotuuu and Zero in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Hello.
Great.
Alright, so Twotuuu.
Still dizzy.
Still dizzy? Twotuuu, how will we rank the commanders this week?
So the biggest, Transmutation is going to be the most annoying mutator, but combined with Mutually Assured Destruction, that means a lot of explosions, which can also kill the bots. So commanders who can have good ways to kite the hybrids, the exploding hybrids would get higher scores. Plus, you need a lot of AoE to deal with the Broodlings, or else the Broodlings will transmutate into things that will create more Broodlings.
That's true.
So AoE is also important.
How about you, Zero?
Yes, being able to kill enemies fast without getting hit yourself will be very good. Also, for the third set of bots, you have to split there to hold both the sides. So that's something to consider also.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not that big.
So, let's begin. Alarak, where do we have him?
Okay, Alarak, so he has a hero that has a lot of splash damage, so Broodlings won't really be an issue. He can overcharge in case any Broodlings get into at least closer to the base, which is nice. As for the RB, he's just gonna be making Ascendants. The enemies aren't actually buffed, so Ascendants will easily kill them before the enemies get close, so there won't be a lot of transmutation. He can split pretty well for the waves that he has to. So you don't need that many Ascendants in one place. Like, splitting 8 Ascendants on each side will easily hold the waves, so I think he's S tier, actually. Yeah, I think Ascendants are just good.
They are pretty good. How about you, Twotuuu?
See, I put him in A for the same reason, except that it's like he does everything well, but you have to work for it. Like you it's not free like the S tiers in my book. You have to work. You have to like control your units, and you have to like push the hybrid as the last kill so that doesn't explode in your face. Or you have to push it away. Otherwise,
I think
he'll explode.
I think what I said is it just happens naturally since the hybrids are the tankiest units either way. But I think this one is less tricky because we have a rule here. If it's not unanimous, it's not S. So if Twotuu's not convinced, it's not going to be S. I also put Alarak at A tier, by the way. It might be a holdover from when this first mutation came around. Alarak was pretty much the best commander for this one back then. But now we've had like other commanders come in. So unfortunately, it's not unanimous, therefore it's not S. So Alarak drops down to A tier. Prestige-wise, you just want to use the Shadow of Death. The Mothership is a really strong anchor in the early game and can even help just buffer for mistakes that your ally makes if that happens. Let's move on. Arcturus, where do we have him?
So he has ESOs, which help you clear the hybrids that are standing still in the encampments. That's really important. You can get rid of them without having to engage them directly. You can deal with hybrids by spreading bunkers, and you have explodey guys. So if they kill you, you kill them, and then they explode.
This is inhumane.
You also have like good AoE. You have pretty much ways to deal with whatever comes out, and if your dudes aren't bunkers, then your dudes won't feed transmutation very easily. So it's pretty strong. I put him in A.
How about you, Zero?
Yeah, I think Arcturus is good. The ESO are obviously good. The bunkers will hold the Broodlings easy, and even if they get blown up, it's only 100 minerals. As long as the guys inside don't get killed too often, then you're fine. You can also go for like P1, and then this is only if it's ground comp, and just spam like E-base on Ghost Academies and abuse the ESO. Even the things like transmute into hybrid, you don't really care. This is really good at actually stopping hybrid farms, I've noticed. So if your ally isn't very trustworthy and not screwing you over, you could go for that route. Yeah, I think he's A tier here.
Okay, both of you say A. Let's put Arcturus in A. Prestige-wise, do you really want to suggest the first one? I like having the nuke ready just in case, but also the explodey guys are pretty good.
Well, 1 and 3 are good. P2 can probably work, but slightly harder. I think 1 and 3, one of them.
Okay, that's fair. Let's move on. Artanis, where do we have him?
Artanis. So this is one of the times I would actually recommend P1, I think. But missed opportunities, the waves don't really send high tier guys, so your storms will actually be getting a lot of value, even if you're fighting like Protoss. The storms will actually have you covered also for the Broodlings, so that's nice. You can cast them from range and just let enemies walk into them, so ideally you won't be getting transmutated very much. As for fighting the hybrid, this is like the only time he may have a lot of issues, just because the High Templar don't do very well against them. So you'll probably need to make Dragoons even when you're playing P1, which won't be very good. You're kind of just playing a worse Alarak, so I have him in B.
That sounds about right. How about you, Twotuuu?
I put him in D. He's not good. So the only reason why he's not lower is because he has shield overcharge. Shield overcharge, especially non P3, is very good. Like, it's prevents transmutation for 40 seconds, basically 38 seconds. However, if you're not playing P3, that means like you need to know how to use it. If you use it as a panic button to get out of one jam, and the timing doesn't match up for the next jam, then you might just be in another like a bad situation. The Zealot Templar route is probably the best route. P1 is fine, but I don't think it's very good. So yeah, he gets overwhelmed by tons of AoE, and I guess if you're not if you're not used to getting surrounded and you panic storm a lot, you're gonna waste all your energy. And with P1, or it doesn't matter, either one, like you're not gonna have that much, or you're gonna be burning through your gas to replace your High Templars or morphing them to Archons. It's going to be very bad. So I put him in D.
What do you think, Zero?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to putting him lower. I thought Bad Alarak would be slightly better, but I'm not highly just leaning towards B, so I'm completely fine putting him lower.
Okay. Both of you are... Oh, wait. How much lower? Are you okay with D? Or do you think C is better?
I haven't actually tried them, so I can't say that much, so I'm fine with D.
Okay. Both of you are fine with D, so let's put him in D. I did actually have him in B personally because of the shield overcharge thing and the storm thing, but I guess that's not relevant. So, prestige wise, you want the third one, right? Or do you want the first one?
I think P1 still.
Sorry?
Still think P1 would be
First
better,
one?
but I guess P3 can also work.
Okay.
I
Let's.
think they're all. They
I
have
guess-
their strengths.
I guess when you're D tier and you still use it, I guess it's up to you if you want to use the prestige. Let's move on. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka's really easy for this one. So pack leaders can take multiple nuke hits. So even if you're fighting like 3 hybrids, you won't die. And all you do is you send locusts with AoE damage from the back, and you have, when you're fighting like double waves, or actually at the bots, starting from the third set, you just put like 2 Tyrannosaurs at each bot and you'll clean up the rest. So I put him in S.
Wow. How about you, Zero?
I have him in S also. Pack leaders are good, creeper hosts are good. There's nothing pretty much that can go wrong here for the Haka. S is completely fine.
Well, unless you're not very careful with your creeper hosts, then some guys might end up at your creeper host. So,
Just burrow them.
yes.
You're not moving them around a lot.
I'm just saying it is possible for these things to go wrong because the last thing I is like for someone to just use Dehaka thinking that nothing can go wrong, so that they don't become they become careless, and then they just blame us, me specifically, for saying that even though I didn't say it, that Dehaka is that anyway. Both of you are okay
I'll
with
take
S. I'm just covering my bases here. Things can go wrong, okay? You still have to be careful. Dehaka S tier. Both of you say that. Prestige wise, you want the second one, right?
Yes.
All right. Let's move on. Phoenix, where do you have him?
Fenix, so he has a Caldalis, so Broodlings are not an issue. For Transmutation, he kills things very fast, so yeah, that won't really be a thing either. And if it is, then yeah, Caldalis just slaps that away anyway. He doesn't really care about the nukes because champions cost way too little. He may have some issue like splitting, but that's I don't know. He will have a lot of money anyway for like random cannons at the bases, so it shouldn't be anything that causes him too much issue. I have him in A personally.
Okay, how about you, Twotuuu?
I put him in S because he doesn't care about the explosions. Of course, if possible, you want to have Caldalis on his own key, so you send him in and save the rest of your champs. But if your champs get blown up, you should have shells nearby, and you'll just like continue the onslaught. You just need to make sure your shell farm is slightly behind, like away from the action, but not too far, and just make sure you keep replacing them. So yeah, you're not really concerned about any of the mutators. That's why I put him in S.
Okay. What do you think, Zero? Again, if it's not unanimous, it's not S.
To me, that just sounds like harder Alarak. I'll be honest.
Yeah, personally, I was wondering. Wait, this is supposed to be better than.
How is it harder?
Alarak?
You're pressing 1 and attack.
I'm not saying
Like-
it's harder, or we're not saying it's harder. I just think it's like
You just said it's harder Alarak.
Yeah,
guess,
with Alarak,
well-
you're just pressing 2 and then holding down T. It's the same thing pretty much.
You
Except
have to
Phoenix
move.
has harder
You have to-
macro.
I
for
think
Alarak,
I
you
think
have
they're
to
about
dodge
I think they're about even personally.
Yeah.
And I didn't say harder, by the way. I did not say harder. I think they're about even.
In power, I think they're even, but I think Phoenix is just harder. Like, that's the way I see it.
I don't see how it's harder. It's just like you're not really worried about getting blown up, whereas Alarak you are. So you have to make sure you don't get blown up.
I don't
That's
know.
the biggest issue of this one, right? Getting blown up. And
But, like,
Phoenix doesn't care about that as much.
Alarak won't be getting blown up, though, because you'll have your hero in the front.
Yeah, the way
If
the way
you,
we
if you
play
miss
this is, yeah. Go ahead.
if you don't gauge the distance of the explosion for Alarak, you're gonna lose stuff. So you have to make sure that he's the only one in the explosion range, or else you're gonna lose things.
I think okay, this is how I played before when this came on the first time and I learned how to do Alarak. I didn't have Alarak in front. He was not in front. He was only in front for like the first 10 minutes of the game. After that, well, after the first 10 minutes and the 10-minute wave. After that was just Ascendance. It was just throw orbs, run back. Eat supplicants. Throw orbs, run back. Eat supplicants. Alarak was just an emergency backup in case Doodlings somehow made their way to the Ascendants. That was his role. He is not in front for me. That's how I played him before. So I was like wondering, wait, how is it difficult to dodge nukes when nothing gets close to your Ascendants? They're like siege tanks, but like 5 radius and just hit air. For me, getting hit by nukes for the Alarak is not an issue.
Yeah, the only hybrid you should be facing with Alarak are like the ones from the actual hybrid waves. Phoenix will actually make some hybrid probably, because he has to dive into the enemies.
Yeah, for those ones that come with the waves, you have the Mind Blast, which is also really good
Yeah.
against them. But yeah, that's just my opinion, by the way. I think that Phoenix is just about the same level as Alarak, and if Phoenix is
Alright.
S tier, I think Alarak should be S tier as well. And if Alarak is A tier, I think Phoenix should be A tier as well. I think they're in the same level.
Agree with that.
That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But
I do
again,
have a bias against Ascendants because I hate them a lot.
yeah, I can
really don't like Ascendants.
I can see how the bias would affect that, but let me admit also that I may be biased in favor of Ascendants because that's the very first Alarak playstyle that I did learn, and it was very fun. I even have like there is some game I don't remember the last time I actually did this, but in maps like Temple of Past Missed Opportunities, I learned to have separate control groups of Ascendants, and it was really good. Again, that's probably standard for you guys, but for me, it's like, oh, I can do this. Anyway, so again, if it's not it's not S. So Zero, is he S or not?
I mean, if Alarak isn't, I don't think so. Because I think they're, in terms of strength, they're about even.
All right, not unanimous, therefore not S. Put Phoenix in A tier. Let's move on. Han and Horner, where do we have him?
Han and Horner, they if you're fighting air comp, you're screwed. So the best weapon is strike fighters, and the strike fighters don't hit air. You can drop mag mines, but mag mines will feed when they're being armed. I guess with P1, there's a less chance of feeding. But Han and Horner uses battle cruisers against hybrid in a one-on-one fight. You kill it and then teleport away.
Yes.
And you use Hellbats to pick off trickles and stuff. But it's a lot of feeding, especially if you don't know. Oh yeah, and by the way, the enemies that attack the strike fighter when it's leaving also can transmutate, which happens a lot to hybrid that you're trying to shoot. So
Yikes.
you might have a hybrid suddenly walk towards your base and you don't even know why. It's because they attacked a strike fighter or tried to drain it. Han and Horner has a high tendency to feed and can't really deal with it until much later. I put Han and Horner D.
Okay. What do you think, Zero?
I personally have them in C tier. The Mira units, I don't think they're guaranteed a transmutation when they get killed, which is nice. For the hybrid, if ally makes like a random early one, I think a few Hellions will just beat it. Which, I mean, even that is extreme. Because yeah, ally shouldn't be making that. Yeah, I can see how they're not very good against air. They got AOE for Broodlings. If they get Terran, they could just abuse Wraiths, which is nice. I don't know. I don't see them being that bad. I have them in C tier.
What do you think, Twotuuu? Is C tier okay for you, or really D tier?
Well, C's, I mean, it's kind of even against a ground comp. Most comps have a mix.
Yes.
Even against a pure ground comp, they still aren't always great, especially if you miss strike fighters. So you want that early Raven, but without direct vision on them, you can't really, unless you're really good at your shots, you can't always hit them. So you want to make sure you hit your shots. I mean, C's alright. I don't think they're, but I do think that they're gonna feed a lot.
I also think that they will feed a lot. I actually kind of agree with D personally. But if Twotuu's okay with C, then I guess we don't have to talk about it. Do you agree with C, Twotuuu?
I didn't have that much trouble because it was easy comp though. So if it's not an easy comp, I think it's gonna be
So comp dependent.
a lot more work. Yeah.
Oh wait,
yeah.
I guess we can see later if there are more commanders in C, but we can put Han and Horn in C for now, and C where the rest of the commanders end up. Same with Abathur. So are we okay with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Karax, where do we have him?
Karax, so I'm gonna say P3 is just the best tier. you can kill most of the waves from orbit without them transmutating. The hybrid that come with waves will probably be a pretty big issue, just because you don't really want to blow all your energy on them. So you'll actually have to engage them with cannons. You'll have to know how to place the cannons like far apart away, so that when they get blown up by the mutually assured destruction, you don't lose too much. With that said, you can actually tank a single mutually assured destruction every so often because of the unity barrier. I think if you play him right, he's pretty good, but like if you don't consistently kill the enemies before they reach your cannons, you may get overrun quite quickly. I have him in B personally for
B.
that.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I also have them in B. So I use P1, but I think P3 is also fine. It's basically towers. You have to be disciplined with your energy use, or else you're going to have nothing when you really need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I P1 has a P1 strength is that you can turn on the chrono wave, and you can kill several hybrids at once, and then they'll explode and hit like in one. They'll die in one area. So like you have a bunch of cannons just to get blown up by them, so you don't lose much else. So Karax B.
How about
Oh, and
Sentinels for the hybrid? With reconstruction?
I
I
mean,
don't
you
know.
can.
I mean,
but it's just cheaper to.
Yeah.
It's just easier to make. Like those are for hybrids where you know where they're coming from, but for hybrids that may suddenly appear somehow, like immortals immortals, if you don't kill them, they'll turn to bigger things.
Immortals just use 3 orbital strikes. I wouldn't waste money on Immortal. I would just use energy.
Yeah, there are like 5 of them sometimes at once. So.
Oh, that's bad. Anyway, so I guess Karax ends up in B tier. You can use either. You were saying first prestige or third prestige?
Yeah.
Either one's fine. I do recommend either of those because if you use second prestige, you won't have cannons. Like cannons, I think, are very important for Karax here. Let's move on. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan. So, if you're not fighting Zerg, for most waves, she'll be out when the wave arrives near your base. So you don't really need to build anything early on. Although if you're fighting like vultures or something, you might get screwed.
And Helions.
Yeah, but if it's let's say Kerrigan gets out safely, she'll be doing a lot of the work, and she's pretty good at it. She has Omega Worms, so the Broodlings won't really go to your base. They'll hit an Omega Worm, and you just need to pop in and out to get rid of them. Immobilization wave will clear out lots of the areas, which means you have a lot less transmutation to deal with. I think it also kills the broodlings that spawn from the dead units, so you actually have nothing left to deal with, which is very nice.
Very nice.
And one reminder is that when the hybrid dies, you should have a slide. Do not rely on entering Omega Worm because the broodlings that spawn will body block you. So you must kill the hybrid and slide away, not right click a worm, even if you're next to it. I put Kerrigan in B.
How about you, Zero?
I also have her in B. The hero unit will handle most likely early to mid game on her own while you build up your unit of choice, which I would say are either Ultralisk if it's ground or Mutas otherwise.
Mutalisks.
Ultralisk.
Against
Yeah,
nukes?
Mutalisk have really long range.
Yeah, you're not
If you,
using
like,
the
bounce
mutas
them
to
off
fight
worms.
nukes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, believe it or not, Mutas can actually outrange most enemies if you just bounce the attack off of a worm. So ideally, they won't be getting into too much trouble, and Ultras aren't much help against air anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, if she gets air, she's a bit harder, of course, but I think she's still good enough to be B tier.
Okay. Both of you agree with B. Let's put Kerrigan in B. Prestige wise, do you want the second one here so you can keep zapping, or do you
Not
want
something
the third one
Yeah.
so you can have a powerful immobilization wave, or even no prestige?
Yeah, pretty much anything but P1.
I
Anything
think
but the
anything
first.
would be 2.
Anything but the second. So you'd rather have a weaker, or rather, you'd rather have no Omega Arms than a weaker immobilization wave. Is immobilization wave
Yes.
everything here? That's interesting.
Yes.
I think
Because
so.
because I tried P2 today just to see. It's bad. Like
So
it's
everything
just-
relies on being able to destroy the enemies with immobilization wave. Immobilization wave is everything here for Kerrigan. Is that what you're saying?
for especially the big waves, you kill everything, so you're left with just the hybrid. No, you don't even have to deal with the broodlings that come from the waves.
That's fair. All right, so Kerrigan B, and then use. You need a powerful immobilization wave, so you need to put all your mastery points. So it's not just the prestige. You also need to put the mastery points in the mobilization wave to have Kerrigan be effective in destroying the waves before they become hybrids. Nova, where do we have him?
So she has a hero unit that will kill all the small stuff and broodlings very easily with the shotgun mode. Her units have very long range, assuming you're making liberators here. I don't see what else you'd make, so hybrid ideally won't really be a threat if you make them. She kills enemies very fast, so there's not a lot of chance of transmutation. Her defensive drone prevents transmutation also, so if you're getting hit and you have the defensive drone on, you won't transmutate, which is very nice. Yeah, I think she's similar to Kerrigan, but just slightly better. I have an A tier.
How about you, Tsu?
So for me, I've also put her in A because she has the usual Liberator Raven and the Raven's turrets will keep the hybrids in place while the Liberators keep their distance.
Yeah.
And you have all those transmutation, prevention. Nova Shotgun takes care of all the Broodlings. And the Raven turrets also help out with that too. So yeah, A is fine.
Okay, A is fine. Prestige-wise, you want the first one, right? You want lots of Liberators and Ravens. That's fair. Let's move on. Raynor, where do we have him?
Oh man, this guy used to be good because his mines are
Yeah.
were invincible. Now that his mines are no longer invincible, they feed like crazy.
Revert
that's
the
assuming-
Raynor nerf. We need mines back. We need the mines. We need the real mines back.
So, against an air comp, you're kind of screwed. Against a ground comp, you're still kind of screwed. So, you need to know how to place your mines so that they can kill hybrids. But because every time a hybrid explodes, all the mines near it will also be gone. So you have to spread them out, and all the while, like the broodlings that spawn plus the other enemies accompanying the hybrid will also transmutate. For the regular waves, your fragile marines, if you're using them, will also transmutate. If you're fighting a pure ground comp, you can go mass banshees, but if it's not Terran, they can see you, and that sucks. I put Raynor in F.
F tier. Oh my goodness.
He feeds like crazy.
Oh my goodness. How about you, Zero?
I have him D to E tier personally. His early game is really bad, but once he gets past that, he's actually passable. Yeah. I assume you're just gonna go like P3 here, assuming you have an ally, so that can actually help you mildly with the early game, and just mass battle cruisers. Once you get to like that part, he's not that terrible. Like F tier, I assume he's like gonna be an active hindrance.
The F tier for me means you actually make the game a lot harder just by existing.
It's like if you do nothing until you get enough battle cruisers, that's minus.
That's
Well,
not
nothing.
minus.
Better.
That's not minus help, I would say.
You still like help out with a top bar.
then you can't like expect a Raynor or something to do nothing, or like they expect you to do absolute nothing until you get enough battle cruisers.
I mean, if I'm Raynor here, I could contribute at least by once my ally clears the base, or once I clear the camp with Hyperion and Banshee, I could at least make bunkers and fire bats inside, fire bats marauders, and then either tanks or battle cruisers. That's not negative help. I
Yeah,
don't
but
think.
that's like you're actively avoiding you're not playing what you normally would do just to avoid being a hindrance, which means you're still a hindrance in a different way.
What?
I don't.
Because you could have used someone else and been doing something to help. Instead, you're trying to not be a hindrance. You're doing things to not be a hindrance.
Okay, are you convinced, Zero?
I'm not.
And also, if you're trying, you're like trying to do your best, lay mines and stuff. You're gonna feed. So you're trying to help. You're not trying to do nothing. You're trying to be useful. The mines do blow up hybrids, but then they also feed.
Just make battle
So-
cruisers. And like bunkers.
Yeah, if you don't, yeah, those battle cruisers are not gonna stop Broodlings from destroying the bots.
The bunkers will.
Yeah, I don't think that doing nothing except like being like that is considered helpful. I don't think that. You're like not even playing at this point. You're just like waiting for your ally to do everything and you be there like to do something that he can also do.
What do you
To
mean?
make a bunker to stop
Everything.
the trickle.
Like in the later, especially in the later prongs, your ally.
Later game is no. So late game, I don't think Raynor can survive to the late game. And if you get to the late game, then you probably haven't contributed to the early game, right?
I mean, you have the
Because
you have
if
the
you try to
Hyperion.
contribute, you're gonna feed.
You have the
You're
Hyperion, the
useless for
Duskwings.
first bots. For second bots, you can help with like
Hyperions-
Hyperion Duskwings. And for third
Yes,
set, you have
that's about
battle
it.
cruisers. It's only first bot. No one struggles with the first bot except Raynor.
I was about to say, see, no one struggles with the first bot except me, and then except Raynor. Oh yeah. I just saw this with Raynor, by the way, in Nexus co-op.
Oh,
I use
Nexus
P1 to solo
Raynor.
this.
P1.
I
Oh,
use
yeah, I guess-
P1, but that's because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, Devouring Scourge too, I assume.
Yeah, Devouring Scourge is kind of cheating, but it's still win. It still counts as a win.
Yeah.
Okay.
For duo, I'd say P3.
Okay, I think at this point we're just kind of going around in circles. Zero, are you convinced that Raynor is F?
So,
Okay, it's not unanimous, therefore it's not F. I mean, he is still like really bad.
yeah, he's still terrible.
It's still terrible. Let's move on. Statboy, where do I have him?
Stetmann, S tier. He has links that tank nukes for some reason. Gary orbs won't let the enemies transmutate even. So yeah, he can sprint across the map to get to a boss, so he doesn't even have to split. Yeah, I think he's just S tier.
What do you think, Tutu?
There are only 2 units you need to make: Lings and Banelings. You don't need to make anything else besides
Fun.
those 2. S.
S tier. Something else I would like to add here. You guys probably saw this game. Statboy allows P3 Stukov mass bunker to engage in this mutation because of the green zone overcharge. The infested don't die when they engage, not right away at least, so they can actually win fights with the green zone overcharge. It's insane. I didn't think it would work, and on the first try, no less. Okay, yeah, unanimous S tier. There we go. Prestige wise, you want the second one? It's
Second.
Of course.
it's the best one. Best buddy. Let's move on. Stukov, where do I have him?
You're not using P3 for this one. P3 is F tier. So you're going to use P1. However, Diamondbacks, while they're good against ground, against air, they're not as good because the air units will still get hits on you. I remember Kerrigan did this and he said like it's also not going to really work if it's not Zerg because they get to hit you and they'll transmutate into more dangerous things. Two of your top bars are basically unusable. So 2 of your good top bars can't really be used most of the time.
Most of the time.
I
yeah.
put Stukov in C.
C. What do you think, Zero?
I agree with that. And even if you lose 2 top bars, Diamondbacks are still very good units. so you won't be that bad.
They have
Yeah,
very
you're still
strong
not good
backs.
either. So yeah, I think C is fine.
C is fine. All right, let's put Stukov in C. That's a unanimous C. Prestige-wise, you want the first one, so your Diamondbacks will be cheaper, so you can make a lot of them, so you can scale up really
Yes,
quickly. Let's move on. Swann, where do we have him?
Swann. So his turrets can be okay. Not if there's a hybrid in front of him, but otherwise they'll probably kill the enemies fast enough before they transmutate. Clearing will be a bit bigger of an issue. I assume you just use like either tanks and Hercules or like what are they called? Cyclones and Hellbats. I think either one can work. Yeah, you pre-clear the area, then I think you just spread turrets. If it's
Hellbats.
ground, you should be okay. Probably just making tanks and Hercules. If it's air, you may need some of the what are they called?
Raids.
Turrets.
Turrets.
Yes. Yeah, he's not very good, and he's quite difficult to play. I have him in either C or B.
C or B? What do you think, Tutu?
The difference between Swann and Karax is that Karax can destroy like problematic enemies at will, whereas Swann has to wait and hope they don't transmutate. So I used cyclones, so turrets plus cyclone hellbats, and it was not. It was okay. It was all right. You have to spread your turrets to not let them get blown up, but you also need something to like fight the hybrid while your cyclones attack them from afar. And if the enemy is immortals and stuff, they're gonna transmutate a lot, and that's not fun.
Yep.
So I put Swann in C.
Okay. Both of you put him in C. Let's wait. Both of you put him in C, right? Yeah. My memory is kind of fading already. Let's put Swann in C, not Buan. Quan. Prestige for Swann. We want the second
Not
one,
3.
not
Either
three.
2 or 1.
The first one or second one. Okay, that's fine. Depending on what you want to focus on, either the laser or the turrets. Let's move on. Tychus, where do we have him?
So Tychus has a lot of tools to deal with the mutators. It's just that like it may be tricky to deal with multiple hybrid, especially if there are more than 3 of them, because Sam only has 3 charges. Yeah, he can pretty much deal with the regular waves with like 1 grenade, and then even if Tychus is surrounded, they won't really transmutate, and Tychus can survive long enough until he gets a second grenade and finish him off. Nux is good, but then Nux runs out of charges, especially like if more than 1 wave spawns where he is later on, so it could be an issue. I put Tychus in A.
A.
Still strong.
How about you, Zero?
I personally have him in S tier. The owls are very strong. The Tychus grenade will wipe a wave except the Broodlings, but the Broodlings won't transmute into anything dangerous before your next grenade comes back. Yeah, he can hold multiple sites fairly easily with all the outlaws he has. Even if like some random Broodling gets to the base, which probably won't happen because serious turrets will attract them. Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. I have it in S tier.
Something else I noticed, or something else I learned while playing this is Tychus. The Oda just tanks the nukes. There are 3 waves that, actually 2 waves that come with hybrid. The 1531 and the 2803 Those come with hybrids, and you can have the Odin available for both times. And both times you can just let the Odin tank the nukes, and it'll be fine. It's actually just fine.
Yeah, it nukes the whole wave, and it's just hybrid and Broodlings.
Yeah. But what do you think, Tutu, about S tier?
I'm not really opposed to that. I think it's alright.
Okay. Let's put Tychus in S tier. Because the Odin just tanks the nukes. Vorazun, where do we have him?
Vorazun. So I guess she can survive a nuke, which I mean it's alright. You don't really want to be tanking nukes anyway. So she's good if you know how to use her properly. Otherwise, you may be getting like either taking just bad fights or transmute a bit too much. She has black holes, which it just comes down to using her properly. If you like play her properly and take proper good fights, you won't run into that much trouble. But yeah, I think she's like either C or B.
Okay. How about you, Twotuuu?
I think Vorazun's bad for this one because she doesn't have good AoE. Her only AoE is Confusion, which is not really AoE. And your Darkon, if you have one, is gonna get surrounded really fast. So if you don't have anything to stop the Broodlings, they're gonna kill the bots. So that's no good. If you're not good with Shadow Guard control, it's gonna be hard to fight the hybrids. If there are air units, you're gonna need black holes, but you can't really afford to black hole every single wave. It's a lot of energy, and so it's really bad. And like you want a time stop to clear bases, sure, but then you also need like time stop for the hybrid, so you have to like know exactly when to use the time stops. And yeah, I don't think Vorazun's very good here, especially the Broodlings part. She can take one hit and that's good, but that's about it.
That's
I put
about it.
Vorazun in D.
D tier. What do you think, Zero?
Fine with that.
Okay. Put Vorazun in D tier. She has 1 prestige, keep her shithouse. Let's move on. Zagara, where do we have him?
I love Zagara, but she feeds like crazy.
Aww.
So this one, like, it's really hard to deal with this stuff. It's really hard to deal with the waves. You can use some bio launchers and stuff, but like you have to defend your bio launch. You have to defend bio launchers with banelings or enough spine crawlers. And if hybrids get close, then all your bio launchers are gone.
Yeah.
And it's just a huge pain to be able to deal with the enemies. You think it's easy, just roll Banes? Sure, it's not. But then if you're using like P1, you're gonna run out of Banes because they're gonna be used to kill the Broodlings, and there's gonna be a lot of stuff that's not gonna work. I put Zagara in F.
F tier. Oh my goodness.
She feeds a lot.
Oh my goodness. How about you, Zero?
I have her like C to D personally. I tried it against like a moderately difficult comp with P2 and I got to the 4th set. I didn't get past it, but I don't think she's F. It's like her early game is good, her mid game is okay, her late game isn't anything amazing, but it's not bad. Yeah, I think she's way better than Raynor. That's for sure. Yeah, I think C to D.
Yeah,
That's right.
Okay, Twotuuu. Why is Zagara worse than Vorazun and Artanis?
Because she feeds like crazy. Especially if you have someone who just uses F2 with all the units all the time. Like, you're talking average player who just plays the Swarm, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Did you try
Not
P2 here?
high skill player who can use like different unit comps or whatever, or like knows where to place burrow banelings and stuff.
What prestige did you use? Because I'm thinking P2
I
is
used 1
generally
and I
the
used
best.
3. 1 didn't work.
Yeah, so no P2. I think if you're just like a guy on the solo queue, just go P2 here. You can just F2A aberrations and then micro Zagara, and that works. Even if they get nuked, they cost very little, so you don't care too much. Of course, you're not still playing an amazing commander, but I think she's far from like the worst guys.
Well, I put Raynor in F2, so I put Zagara above Raynor in F.
Yeah, I do agree she's way better than Raynor. It's just
I think your perspective here will vary a lot on whether you're playing playing solo or whether you have an ally who's contributing at least half the work. Because if you have an ally who contributes half the work, you will not run out of banelings. and it will look easy, and Zagara will look strong. So
I
I
don't
guess
even think you make me links here. I think P2 is just the best prestige. Like, even in a solo, I managed to get to the 4th set on my first attempt against Masters and Machines.
that's an
Oh,
easy comp though.
Splitter
Is it-
Banes are the ones that feed like crazy and Zerglings. So if you're not gonna use Zerglings, but the Splitter Banes from the free Banes are gonna feed. Those little useless ones.
Really useless
Mhm.
ones.
And if you're fighting an air comp, oh man, I guess Scourge are good, but
Scourge, you're good. If you're fighting Corsairs, it's over. It's over.
In that case, you're just dead.
well,
I
no,
guess
Corsairs
it
will
won't.
kill one and
Yeah,
transmute.
yeah, they'll transmute you right away. So I guess it's not. Well, once they transmutate, I find that once you transmutate, the transmutated unit has a higher chance of itself transmutating. I'm not sure if it's just me. Maybe I'm crazy here. That a transmutated unit has a higher chance of itself transmutating. That's what I've seen from anecdotal experience. Anyway.
Does
Maybe.
happen, definitely.
Anyway, so I guess yeah, it's not unanimous, I don't think. So it'll not be F, but will it be D or E?
I personally think D. Aberration's a slap hybrid very hard. So even if your ally like randomly makes some, you send like 2 aberrations and that just slaps it to death. Yeah, she's very easy to use. She's not good, but she's easy. Yeah.
Have
you're
you
definitely not
tried
making a
second
fight
prestige,
factor.
Twotuuu?
I have not. I should. I think I'll try it. But yeah, I don't think it will be great.
I don't think it'll be great either. We're not saying she's B or A tier. I think she's like around D. I personally think she's around D, which is
D.
really bad. But I mean, we could go E if she's still worse than Vorazun or Artanis.
So
I know that she's better than Raynor.
Better than Raynor.
So
So I guess
Yeah.
that's D.
I think she's closer to the D guys than the Raynor.
Okay, let's put her in D. Zeratul, where do we have him?
Zeratul, so you can either go units, which they're better in a way, but they're less forgiving. You can also go cannons, which
They're
are
good.
not better necessarily, but they're really forgiving. He has a hero unit that, yeah, he has a spin that just clears the Broodlings or the wave. The Broodlings won't really be an issue because your units will have really high armor if you're using a P2, or if you're using P3, then you just spin them away anyway. For the hybrid, you have to space out your cannons. You're basically just playing like a Karax, but you don't care that much if you lose your cannon projections. I personally have him like A to S. Not too sure on which one specifically.
Okay, how about you, Twotuuu?
I find that if you're not P3, the Broodlings can get quite overwhelming. So I guess you need to add like DTs to help clear the Broodlings, which could be awkward to use, especially and you'll probably need cannon projections so that the Broodlings don't hit the bots. Because if you don't, they're gonna surround the bot and kill it. Fighting hybrid is tricky. So I guess with DTs, with non P3, you get to like kill one and then or like let one die to like let one finish off a hybrid and just let it die there. That's one way.
Yikes.
Yeah, I personally use P3, just spin and then blink away. Because I can keep spinning. I put Zeratul in A.
I guess if it's not unanimous, it's not S. So I guess A it is. Prestige wise.
Yeah, I think I got A3.
What prestige?
2 or 3.
2
Yeah,
or
2 or
3.
3. Both are fine.
Okay. Do we have a double S? No, we don't.
No.
Who's top of S tier?
Statman,
Stet boy, top of S. And then
Dehaka.
Dehaka, then Tychus. Alright, fair. Who's top of Oh wait. So I think it was who's top of A tier?
Alarak, but
Alarak?
Alarak, and then
really,
Alarak?
No.
Phoenix.
I do think Alarak is top of A. I thought he was like A or S. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
he and Phoenix should be right around there.
Yeah, Alarak Phoenix, I think. Then Nova.
Better than Nova? I think Nova's.
Nova's better.
I think Alarak's better than Nova.
I guess Nova can prevent transmutations because of defensive drone, so that there's some
Yeah.
value there.
Alarak prevents transmutation with Psyorb.
That's true. Yeah, but we're not talking Nova versus Alarak. We're talking Nova versus Phoenix.
Hmm.
I think no. Well,
I don't
Phoenix.
I do think there's some risk involved when you're intentionally sending your champions out to die against the waves. Whereas with Nova, you're expecting not to die. In fact, when a hybrid does its Yamato thing, you can just literally blink to dodge. I think Nova is
Nova
better.
Yeah, she might be.
And then Phoenix?
Yeah, then Phoenix.
Okay. And then
Arcturus, I think.
Arcturus? Then Zeratul, bottom of A. So, this was a question earlier. Is Abathur A or B?
I think B.
Yeah.
He's very similar in Karax.
Yeah, B is definitely
in a way.
closer. Okay, who's top of B?
Abathur.
Abathur?
Abathur. There we go. And then
Kerrigan?
Karax.
ooh.
Ooh.
So why would Karax be better?
He has Unity Barrier.
That's true. It works for everyone. Why would Kerrigan be better?
She has a very easy time clearing the bases, and early game is far better because you just use the hero.
I guess also mobilization wave.
Yeah.
And Omega Orbs.
Karax space clearing is actually not that hard. You put monoliths at the edges, and then you put an observer in front, and it'll just shoot everything away.
That's funny. I should try that sometime. So, Karax or Kerrigan? I do like the Unity Barrier. It does prevent one-time nuking. Although that being said, it's also pretty easy to trigger, so you don't always have it on during the nuke.
I feel like it's very easy to like overcommit defensives in one
think
spot. Then just have
Kerrigan
nothing
gets
for the
wrecked
other
by
side.
air.
Oh yeah, Kerrigan does get wrecked by air. That's true.
That too.
Okay, so Karax I guess is higher, and then
Yeah.
Kerrigan.
Kerrigan's easier to use, but Karax is better.
Yeah. Also, Karax is easier for like low APM players. Kerrigan needs a lot of control. Let's move on. Who's top of C?
Stukov? Maybe? Not sure.
Yeah. I don't see anything
Diamond
against it.
are good.
Got nothing against Stukov on top of C. So who's better between Hot and Horner and Swann?
Han Horner?
I guess Swann is sturdier. He has less
Swann
chances of
does have
feeding.
AoE turrets.
Yeah,
With
splash
500
turrets,
something HP.
which
Yeah,
I would
guess
note
Swann.
are okay.
He's better against air.
All right. So who's top of D?
Artanis.
Yeah, because of shield overcharge. And then Vorazun, then Zagara, because we agree Zagara is closer to
Yeah.
Raynor.
Yeah.
And then Raynor is E. Okay, I guess this is our tier list. Do we have combinations of commanders from B to E who combined would be better than Tychus on his own? I would like to put forth the undying combination of Zagara and Artanis with Garden Shell. You would not be feeding a lot, or as much at least, if you have Garden Shell.
Zagara Raynor can actually be somewhat decent. Zagara gets the Raynor past the early game, and
But-
the Raynor just has battle cruisers.
But is that better than Tychus on his own?
I don't
Not
think
sure.
so.
Battle cruisers are good, but I'm not sure if they're outlaw level good.
Right?
Yeah,
How about Kerrigan Swann?
Kerrigan Swann. What does that do?
Like Kerrigan just pushes out and then Swann's fortifies with turrets.
I mean, the whole issue for Swann is that he doesn't necessarily kill units fast enough before they transmutate.
No, I mean with turrets, would he need to destroy them?
Wait, what do you mean by need to destroy them?
They're gonna
I mean,
transmutate hybrids.
Yeah, if you don't destroy them, they're just gonna be hybrid.
I mean to destroy them quickly because they will eventually get through them.
Yeah,
Oh.
ideally, you destroy them.
That's true.
The-
Yes.
The unbuildable paths also make it kind of hard to like concentrate turrets
Oh, that's true. That's true.
in some certain areas.
How about Zagara and Karax with Unity Barrier? The things won't feed as much.
I don't know. I still think P2 Zagara would be better.
Yeah, we can use second prestige Zagara with Karax.
Yeah, they don't feed enough. They don't feed a lot anyway with P2. That's the thing.
Or
Is it better than Tychus? That's the thing.
yeah, that's the
What,
thing.
Tychus- good.
what weakness does Zagara cover that Karax has?
I guess.
I don't think Karax has a weakness except maybe
Splash?
like
Like
Splash.
yeah, splash against like when, for example, a wave of bio or a wave of zealots, you splash them down, then you also splash down the banelings. It deals with them quicker than turrets.
Sounds like Abathur can put a Brutalisk at each like choke or
That'll
each
work
path,
too.
and then
Yeah, that'll work just fine.
AOE the Broodlings.
So Abathur Karax, I'm also fine with that.
Maybe like Stukov Karax also. Repair beam
Stukov
for the
Karax.
diamond attacks.
Yeah, with auto heal, that'd be pretty good. Okay, I think that's enough combinations, guys. Watch Twotuu's channel, and we'll link them down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Also, comment down below if you need help with this week's mutation. Last week's mutation was something I was not willing to help people with for my sanity. I'm also not sure, by the way, if I will have time for this week's mutation. I will try to stream at the end of the week if I have time, which I doubt. But, I'll try. Comment down below if you need help. I'll see you guys next time.